This episode is brought to you by Monogram. Welcome to the Design Dash podcast, your guide to designing a life you love. Join us as we explore the keys to living the life you want without compromise. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Design Dash podcast. I am your co-host, Melissa, and I'm my co-host, Laura. And today we are going to talk about alignment and maybe what it feels like when we're not fully aligned and what do we do to get back into it. So Laura and I think a lot of it has to do with the podcast, but I feel like we've been really trying to work on ourselves personally. I feel like for the past few months, and we've come up with a couple of tools that we'd love to share with everybody that have been really helpful in trying to get us back into things. But Laura, let's start out with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is the last couple of months I've gotten super serious, but I feel like I'm always into self-development and self-help. Like I'm such a self-help nerd. So if I'm feeling like I've gone astray or like I'm drifting or, to put it more negatively, languishing in my life, and usually it's, I don't know. I mean, some people say like, I'm suffering in my personal life, I'm suffering in my professional life, and it's one or the other. Usually for me, it's across the freaking board. Like if I am really down in one area, I'm probably down in most. I don't know. Maybe that's my all or nothing personality. But one thing, but I don't like to, like if I'm sitting in this languishing mindset for too long and I'm just like rotting in my bed and things are not going well, I pull myself out of it. I do. I look at myself and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, stop. And I do have a couple of tools that I like to use. First is this mantra gratitude journal. And okay. I love it. First of all, it's orange and it's really cute. Second of all, yeah, it helps. It really does. It's on my nightstand and it's a pretty color. But second of all, it's really easy. It's pretty much like bullet points, which you know how I feel about my bullet points. But it really just like, it's a gratitude journal and a mantra. So you set a mantra for the day. How many hours did you sleep? What's your mood like? What's your mantra for today? And some days my mantra is like, make decisions. And then some days my mantra is like, let it flow. It just depends on my mood. And then it's like, what are the 3 things you really want to do today? And so you do that in the morning. What are you grateful for today? Set that first thing. Sometimes I'll take it with me, like while I brush my teeth and just fill that out. And then at the end of the day, you come back to it at night and it's like, what did you do what you set out to do today? Like, how do you feel about that? And then what would make tomorrow better? And it's just a super simple journal and I really love it. So that's one thing.
Okay.
Do you do
this?
You're
checking in with yourself.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to do. I did it.
Yeah. And I started this like at the beginning of the year. It was like, I hate resolutions, but it was very much like, hey, it's January. Let's start something. And then I fell off for months. And then I was in my languishing phase and I came back to it and I was like, wow, this really does make a difference. Like I really stop and think. Do you do this? Do you have a mantra gratitude journal?
No, I can never keep up with it. No. I mean, I'll set intentions. Like when I do yoga, you always start by setting an intention. This is the intention I'm going to set for my practice. So I can do it for like an hour and then check in with myself, but I could never, I'm just not that structured.
Oh, see, that's what I love about it. It's the structure. You just like hit it. That's it for me. It's the structure. So what tool are you using if not a gratitude journal?
So I will regularly journal, but it's been really hard for me to get back into it. I started really going to therapy back in June. And it was one thing that my therapist was always like, you've always loved writing. That's been a big piece of it. But now I wrote so much for work that I started to associate writing with work, and it's really big on not commoditizing your hobbies. And I think that really just sucked a lot of the fun out of it for me and like just the catharsis of it. And so when I started back journaling in June, again, I couldn't do it. I found myself really struggling with even being vulnerable with myself. Like I understood the
Yes.
emotions that I was going through, but to write them down and then have to look at them again, I was really struggling with that. So there's actually a really great website. It's called Therapy Notebooks. And I think it's created by actual professionals, psychologists and psychiatrists, I believe, therapists. And they give you guided worksheets, kind of like guided templates, I guess I should.
So like journal prompts, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, which I think has been helpful. I don't use them anymore now because again, like I'll just write something. Again, the structure is really difficult for me, so I'll just write something whenever I have the time or whenever it's available. I use the note feature on my phone a lot.
Okay.
But since I speak to my therapist every week, there's always something that I'm supposed to be working on. And so I think like that prompt was really helpful. So like this week, for example, was all about forgiveness. And so writing about forgiveness of myself mainly. So I don't feel as much shame or guilt with some of the things that have happened in the past or in my day to day. And so even just like that little bit has been really helpful. So I guess I do need a prompt. I just don't need the structure. I don't do it every day.
We'd like to thank our good friends at Monogram Appliances. We've partnered with Monogram for over a decade with our design firm, Laura U Design Collective, and we're so happy to partner with them in producing the Design Dash podcast. Monogram sources the highest quality materials for their appliances, from commercial grade stainless steel to unscratchable sapphire glass. Monogram ensures lasting beauty and unmatchable quality for your luxury kitchen. And not only that, but they have an amazing team who we love working with, and we know you will too. So thanks, Monogram.
That level of vulnerability, even with myself, gives me the ick.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I've been dealing with,
It freaks me out.
These complex traumas that I had a very difficult situation in my early 20s. And so it's just something that I've repressed for a really, really long time. And now confronting it, even though like I see it in my mind and I think about it all the time, writing it down was a lot more difficult now that I've had time since then. And so I have the clarity. But man, that was really hard. And I talked to my husband about it and he's just like, nobody else is going to read it. Like you're struggling with it because you think somebody else is going to go back and say,
that's the rub. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I don't know if it's that for me. I think it's just like, I want to articulate it perfectly. I don't care if somebody else reads it. I hope they do and they really like it. But like, if it's just for me, I just don't want it to be, I don't know. I want it to be as accurate as possible. And so I think that's the thing that really holds me back. It's like, okay, well, are you being vulnerable enough? Is it true to you? Does it sound like me? And I don't know.
Are you normally a perfectionist?
Not with everything. With that, yes, because I've always taken a lot of pride in writing. But I'm reading a lot now that perfectionism is really just procrastination renamed. And I'm like, oh, damn, that's true. Yeah, really.
Huh. Okay. So this is when you are not feeling aligned, you journal.
I journal. And you know what? I read. I love reading about other people who have maybe gone through that or like, I mean, even just good novels. Like I'm reading Philip Roth right now. Like, I don't know, like just really hearing other perspectives, I think is really grounding for me.
Huh. God, you're so creative.
I don't do self-help though. And I mean, I've been trying, like I've been reading this attachment book, which has been excellent. I freaking love it, but it's difficult. It's challenging because there's a lot of guided meditations within there and like, assessing things about yourself. And, I've been really striving to not be so achievement oriented because once you achieve it, you're just like, oh, I got to achieve something else. And that's
it. You're about the journey, not about the goal necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're really living that.
Well,
except for the perfectionism that's crushing you. Yeah. Okay. For me, like the self-help is very much achievement oriented.
Oh yeah.
It's a goal.
So when you reach that goal, are you just like, let me celebrate that goal? Or are you just like moving on? I need a new goal.
Maybe it's not the goal, but it is about learning for me. I need to learn always. I need to try something new. I'm so curious about everything. And if I could have 10 lifetimes, I would do something completely different in every single life and learn something completely different.
I love that thought. That's what I hate about getting old is like, I just won't get to experience it. You know, like,
yes, there are so many things I want to do. And actually my languishing has come down to that. It's decision. I want to do so many things. How do I decide?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a damn good segue. That brings me right back to this tool, my Wheel of Life tool.
Yes, this is so cool. Explain this to me and to everybody else.
God, I'm so bad at synopses. Okay, this is my tool. If you're on our YouTube, you can see it. Wheel of Life. And this is a really ugly template with like some crazy ass font that I would never use, but it still gets the point across. So this is a tool that helps you assess balance in your life. And actually this template here is, and if you're not watching, if you're listening, it's a circle, a big circle with concentric rings going down to a center. And there's 10 rings because you're going to rate different areas of your life on a scale of 1 to 10 or 0, I guess, if you really are suffering, to 10. 10 being the best, outer ring coming to a point in the center, which would be 0. And so you're plotting, let's pretend like you're drawing spokes through this circle. On each of these points where the spoke touches the outer ring, you're plotting 8 different parts of your life that are important to you. So that's your Wheel of Life. So for example, family, finances, friends, I'm just naming things that start with F. But they would end up at each of these points. So you're supposed to have 8. I actually couldn't narrow it down to 8. So I drew a couple extra lines and I have 10. And so like you just put in little boxes at the top of each of these points, what's important to you. So for me, romance and relationship, learning and growing, like I just said, learning, family and kids, impact for others. So helping others, mental health, physical wellness, work and career, environment, like my home environment, my work environment, where am I spending my time, my community and friends, and adventure and curiosity. And so those are my 10. And I plotted out in black where I currently feel I am from 1 to 10 in each of those areas.
Oh, okay.
And that gives me my current self-assessment of my reality in each of those important buckets for me. Then I plotted out in red where I want to be in each of those.
Oh, okay.
And they actually don't tell you to do it this way. This is just what I found, like to make it actionable. This is how I found
Of course, you added color. You had to.
I like to use it. Right. And so then I can assess from where I feel like I am to where I want to be. Where's the gap? And which buckets is that gap the biggest? Because that is where I need to focus and where I may need to make some changes. So I'm no longer languishing. I'm actually doing something. And so for me, it was the 2 biggest things were mental health, because I have been mentally unfit, and learning and growing. And also adventure, curiosity is a big one, romance, relationship. And so I feel like all of those things are kind of intertwined. So when I'm not learning and growing, I don't have adventure and curiosity, and I'm doing more work than I am working on my relationship with my husband. My mental health is going to be just like in the garbage. So yeah, that's where I learned. And that after I did this literally a week ago. And since then I'm like, okay, so this is the situation. This is what I need to improve. What can I do? Learn and grow, adventure, curiosity, go on dates, like spend some time with my husband. So I joined a new course, which I'm just learning something completely different. Like I'm studying Enneagram, which I know you're going to be like, are you freaking serious with this? Yes, I am studying Enneagram, which if you don't know what it is, look it up because I haven't studied it long enough to tell you. But, and I scheduled a vacation. That will
nice.
Work for my adventure curiosity, and I'm planning dates with my husband. So like, oh God, and I found a psychiatrist. So like I'm addressing actively all of those 4 things. And it's this Wheel of Life tool that helped me identify what I need to do.
That's cool. So again, it was like another check-in, right? Like you were assessing yourself, but like there's a lot of data points, I think, behind that. Because then, like, you
And
could
it's
see how
very
you were measured.
It's structured though. Like, I don't know that you would want to do this because you said you're not as structured, and I need that achievement and the structure.
No, I do something similar. So I'll do like a mind mapping, which again is something that like,
Yes.
I've been trying to do, which is it's similar, but it doesn't have that level of structure. So it's very much just like, what do you want to do? You know, this is you in the center. What are you trying to achieve? And then you give like a very vague timeline. And like mine are really big. Like, this is what I'd like to be in 3 years, or things that I'd like to do in 3 years. I can't start. I think I have to start out really broad.
Yes.
And then
I love that.
work backwards. Because when I start out really structured and with the big goals, I'll never achieve them. They end up seeming too big for me that I don't know how to address them. But that's what I've been doing, is kind of like this mind mapping situation. Here's what I want to be in a year. Here's what I want to do in 5. Here are some things that I want to do before I turn 50, so 10 years. And then working backwards from there. So really loose.
Is it on paper? Is it in a program? Like, how are you doing it?
It's on paper, and I actually popped it into the attachment theory book that I've been working on, because that has something. It's not necessarily a mind mapping, but it was like a self-worth and self-esteem exercise where like you write yourself in the middle, and then you have all these little offshoots that describe yourself. You know, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, et cetera, et cetera. And then at the end of it, you were to go back and assess it, and you see, okay, well, how many of those are roles? How many of those are adjectives? How many of them relate to you being a spiritual being? And then from there, you were able to decide, ooh, I didn't talk about spirituality at all. So maybe that's something that I do need to work on a little bit more. And that's when I realized, you know what, I need to take the yoga certification, which not for the spirituality of it, but something that really got me back to myself and holistically dealt with mind and body. So it's a little bit similar to that, but I didn't know what it was going into it. So I realized I put a lot of roles down. Like, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, which again relates to my being more achievement oriented, right? Like, I'm a good mom. That's an achievement, as opposed to, like, I didn't write anything about I have brown hair. You know, I didn't even talk about myself at that level. And so then you have to go back and do it and try to look at yourself as a whole person to make sure that you're identifying those gaps and addressing them.
What is this book called?
Let me see if I have it. Hold on.
Yeah, I'd like to know, because I want to share that and I want to read it too. Just like going through, I joined this women's group called the Sacred Feminine, which is, again, like the spiritual side, which you're saying like maybe there's a gap there for you, which is why you're doing yoga. I've really identified there is a big gap in my spiritual side, which now that I'm looking at my wheel of life, there's no spiritual anything on here. Like, what's wrong with me? Okay, I need another spoke. But I think like that's really why I'm looking at Enneagram too, is because I'm very curious about that well-rounded whole person.
It was farther away than I thought. It's the New Rules of Attachment by Dr. Judy Ho. And it was something that my therapist recommended to me. But what's really cool about it is that it has so many activities and quizzes. Like it has a quiz on what's your attachment style by relationship. So the attachment that I have to work is very different than the attachment that I have with my husband.
God, I hope so.
And the attachment that I have to my husband is very secure, whereas I can have kind of an avoidant attachment, which is why I'm a little challenging and achievement.
Oh, you're challenging? I didn't notice that.
Really? But yeah, so it does a wheel also.
Oh la la, it's all circles. See?
All circles.
We're onto something.
So it's kind of a wheel of life. I mean, she calls it the wheel of life in here also. So
see,
yeah,
you just didn't realize it.
I didn't realize that's what it was called. So yeah, I guess. But I've really loved this book. Like, it's really helped me understand my approach to things, and then I guess give myself some grace. Because going back to the original topic of not feeling aligned, I'm very much, like you mentioned this earlier, an all or nothing, black and white kind of thinker, and that's really, really unhealthy. And when I'm like that, I feel really misaligned with myself. But reading this book has really helped me understand why I do that, and then of course to have some compassion for
Hmm. So it's a very introspective book.
myself. Oh yeah.
I don't know if I want to look at myself that hard.
It's really introspective. Like
Yeah. Am I ready for that? I don't know.
I mean, it's really good. I've really liked it. Like, let me see if there's like questions that are really like it'll ask you things like, how did you interact with teachers when you were in school? How are
I
you at work?
avoided them entirely. I never talked to
Yeah.
them at all.
Really?
Yeah. Never.
Yeah, I was just like focusing on work.
No.
Which is actually avoidance. Because then I'm avoiding my family and friends, right? To achieve something at work. Which I realized that was something that I'd been doing for years and really neglected these important parts of my life in order to do what, and then now you're 40 and I'm just like, oh, well, that was an empty pursuit. Now what do I do?
You are so young and look at you doing the work now. This is amazing. I think like the difference with the Enneagram too, going back to like self-help is.
What Enneagram are you? Are you an 8?
No, I'm not an 8. I'm a 3.
You're a 3. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but what I like about it is I'm learning about all the types, right? And then how they all interact. So it also helps me understand where other people are coming from. Even if I have no clue what their type is, like just
all my high achieving friends are 8s. Fast.
I think the 8 is, I don't think I'm an 8. I think I'm a 3. I don't know.
I'm a 5. I'm a 5 wing 4.
I don't know. See, you know more than me. I just freaking started, but I'm taking a course mid-November. That's a 3-day course and I'm super excited about it. So get back to me in mid-November. I'll be telling you all about it. And maybe by then I'll decide I'm an 8. My goal is just to be a healthy 3. That's it. Healthy within my Enneagram. Okay. Well, back to being misaligned. I don't know. I mean, I think it's okay to be misaligned sometimes.
Oh,
you can't
of
always
course.
be aligned. But once you're done feeling like shit for a few days, like bounce back, do your wheel of life, read the book Melissa's reading and go through that introspection if you're really brave. I think there's just so much you can do. We should be sure to share that title in the description of the episode.
Yeah. And it's a relatively new book. I think it just came out this year. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but there's so much you can do if you're not in alignment. So mind mapping. I'm sure there's mind mapping prompts too, if you just search it, like to help you walk you through the actual exercise of mind mapping. Because I love that idea too, because it's very flowy and where I've done it before is on Apple. There's just an app called Freeform.
Yeah.
Have you ever used Freeform?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on a Mac.
Awesome. I think it's great for mind mapping if you don't have a pen and paper. I always love pen and paper more just because I love the tactile. And I love buying beautiful journals. I just got a new one. But so mind map, wheel of life exercise. There's just so much you can do.
I think also just not doing anything. Like I had a really busy weekend this weekend, which was excellent. We had so much fun, but it was just boom, 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 boom. And I've often always felt bad when I take like that rot day, like I'm just sitting on the couch, like Sunday, I'm just watching football all day long. I'm eating terribly, like whatever. I'm not doing anything, but you know what? That does help me realign. Cause I think something when I get out of alignment is I'm not resting enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And or if you are resting, you have guilt around it.
I do. Yeah. No, it's terrible. Just like, well, I could be doing this.
No.
I could be journaling,
Yeah, I had a rot day on Sunday too. And I told my family, who I love dearly, told them, please, I am literally rotting today. I cannot do anything. I will not be doing Spanish homework. I will not be helping you with math. It's going to all be okay. You're still going to graduate. But today I'm doing nothing. And I'm going to lay here and rot, and I have to, because I know I'm not going to have a weekend for a couple of weeks because we have a lot going on with work. And they did. They let me rot, and I felt good about it. I actually felt really fine about it. So I did preemptive rotting.
Yeah.
It was literally like, I know I'm not going to have a weekend for a couple weeks. So I was like, preemptively, I'm going to lay here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, I know.
It was lovely.
Weekend's going to be a lot. And then we'll
It's
come
going to
back.
be amazing.
I want to do like a rot Tuesday or something like that.
There you go. Sure. Do it. Preemptive rotting. That's where you need to go to get your life back. Get your alignment. Well, I think we've said enough on this topic. How about you?
I think so.
Awesome.
I'm interested to know how everybody else feels about it. And we'll put some of the books and the resources that we talked about on our socials.
Yep. Thank you for joining us. And if you got a lot out of this episode or even a little, please follow and get notifications because we love that you're here and we want to hear from you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to check out our next podcast coming live next week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. In the meantime, you can find us and more wonderful stories like these on designdash.com. And make sure to follow us at Design Dasher on Instagram and TikTok. Till next time.